Now the Challenger is in its last 10-minute holding pattern. And here's CNN science editor Kevin Sanders in New York with more.
Thank you, Rick. Here we are with Jack Lousma, our expert throughout this seventh mission. You were on Shuttle 3, and at this point, with about 18 minutes to go, I think, before the scheduled launch, what's happening in the cabin? Are you just sort of sitting, waiting, twiddling your thumbs, or a lot of work to be done at this stage still?
No, at this point, everything is pretty well ironed out, and things are hopefully running smoothly. You have a few odds and ends that you have to take care of. Listening to the controllers on the loop give you some instructions, but basically it's just pondering what's about to happen and getting your mind ready to react when things go right and if they don't.
Well, back in what I guess can almost be said to be the early days, Shuttle 3, it was a two-person crew then.
That's right.
You and Fullerton. Is it easier with 5 or more complicated with 5?
I think it's easier with 5, Kevin. It gives you 2 more people looking over your shoulder to help you go through the checklist. If you get distracted with problems that arise, they can keep things on the track, and I think it's easier.
And at this stage, I guess the only thing anybody's looking at is the weather, and that doesn't seem to be a problem either, right?
A few low clouds, but not bad.
Well, here we are answering our question. I don't know what we can see from that in terms of the weather. It's a little cloudy there. Is that going to affect whatever it is we see or do not see from the actual launch itself? I wonder.
It could. As the bird goes through the cloud layer, of course, we could lose it. It all depends on the angle of the cameras and how dense the clouds are. We'll just have to wait and see.
So at this stage, of course, the pace of the events are quickening, even though it's not obvious from the picture, which in fact looks quite desolate, because at this point, of course, at this stage of preparation for a launch, everybody has moved away from the area for some miles.
The closest people other than the crew are about a mile away. They're a rescue team, and the crew is up there by themselves. The white room is about to be swung away, clearing the shuttle for a vertical launch right past the tower. So they're out by themselves.
Now, Crippen's in the cockpit. Young apparently is, as usual, checking out the landing situation. Is that right?
John Young is out flying the shuttle training airplane, making approaches to the runway at the Cape there to ensure that the weather is still acceptable for landing in the event we have to come back and make a return to our launch site.
Well, we are hearing in the background there the now familiar voice of Hugh Harris of Mission Control, and he can bring us up to date with exactly what's going on now as we are watching this scene now at the Kennedy in preparation for the 7:33 Eastern Standard Time launch of Shuttle 7 today.
Of the 7 getaway specials, there's a series of 5 experiments selected in a nationwide competition among high school students in West Germany, sponsored by the Kaiser Threda organization, a small aerospace company. 3 experiments are from Purdue University. There are 2 experiments by the California Institute of Technology.
One of the things we may have...
Launch Director Al O'Hara has spoken to the crew, and now Dick Smith speaking to them, saying that he hopes that they have a safe trip and Godspeed, and that we'll have a red carpet rolled out for them when they return.
As I was saying, there's a big contingent of foreign journalists for this mission, particularly Indonesia, Canada, and Germany. It is very much an international mission, this one, right, Jack?
It certainly is, in addition to those from several other European countries from the European Space Agency. They're represented as well.
9 minutes in, holding, looking for a liftoff on time at 7:33 this morning. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
Now, Hugh just announced that there is a 9-minute hold. We're in a 9-minute hold now. This is the last chance to make whatever modifications, adjustments, or refinements before the actual final countdown, don't I?
Well, actually, we can go into a hold at any time, Kevin. This is the place where you'd like things to go smoothly from here on, because if we have to turn around, it would take us a whole day to do so at this point. And so now we're in a 10-minute hold, and it'll be picked up very shortly, starting at 9 minutes, counting on down. The crew is using a checklist much like the one you see here, and they're being assisted through it by the ground controllers. And this is like the book that they'll be using to get through the first hour and a half of flight.
We were marveling, I guess is the word, a little while back, at the fact this is undoubtedly the most advanced, complicated, sophisticated, massive technological achievement in history. I don't think that's an exaggeration, is it?
I think this is probably the most complex, sophisticated machine that has been ever put together in one place by people.
I think also another remarkable aspect, and perhaps less obviously noticed, is the fact that here, you and I sitting here with a checklist, talking to our viewers, as are all the other television stations around the world, watching this live as it happens. That's a remarkable achievement of communications, which in turn has been made possible to some extent by the very operations of the shuttles thus far putting up their satellites.
That's true. These, in fact, 2 of the satellites are going to be put up on this flight, one today and one tomorrow, altitude of 22,300 miles in the so-called synchronous orbit, one over the Pacific and one over Southeast Asia. And again, adding 2 more to this fleet of satellites, which is allowing us to be transmitted and heard around the world.
Does the success, apparent success of the Ariane, the French launch yesterday, does that heighten the sense of competition between the space nations, particularly between the United States and France, European Space Agency, for the kind of commercial payloads, 2 of which you've just mentioned?
I don't think it really heightens the sense of competition. I believe that we're all in this together and encouraging one another. There is plenty of business, it appears to me, for everybody on down the line. So we want to encourage success, and we're certainly proud of the performance of the Ariane yesterday.
Anyway, we're going to pick up the countdown very soon. We are still in that built-in hold. We'll be back in just a moment to continue our live coverage of the 7th mission of the shuttle.